Okay, well, here's a video, and I'm going to talk about my favorite bands. I'm probably going to try to do it in a short amount of time, and it's going to be really hard. But you know what? I'm going to try anyway. Try. So my favorite band of all time is the Beatles. There's no wavering from this at all. It's never really going to change for me. The Beatles are everything. I mean, not everything, but it's not that, I don't know. They never really had a bad album. There's albums that I like of theirs more than others. Let It Be isn't my favorite, but I still love it, Where am I going? I don't know. So the Beatles. I became a fan at age 12 by reading it kind of dates me a little bit, but I read an article in Rolling Stone about the 20th anniversary of Sgt. Pepper, and it really intrigued me. Just the whole weirdness and psychedelic vibe of the album. That made me want to listen to the album, and I listened, and boy, I was blown away. I was blown away by that album. It's not my favorite Beatles album, but man, I'm led to believe that maybe it's their best album, at least on a critical level. Maybe it's not even a lot of people put it as the best album of all time. I would say, sure. It's still not my favorite album, So I'm gonna ramble on here because I don't think that I could actually just do a top 5 or whatever. It's hard for me to place artists in level of importance. I'd say this guy that I'm listening to right now on the CD CD player in my car, is, it has been for a few years now, a huge influence on me. John Fahey, who was a fingerstyle guitarist, who was one of the first. He started his musical career in 1959, probably even prior to that, but his first album came out in 1959. Started his own record label. Just an all-around artsy kind of dude who I admire for that reason. Just an odd personality, and quirky, and he had a playful side to him that was probably unparalleled in music. Just odd. I don't know any other way to put it. But he had a lot of struggles with some alcohol abuse and prescription drug abuse, just because he was on the road so much, and that's kind of how he made money. He did sell records of his own and other people. He kind of put helped make Leo Kottke famous with his first really, really good selling album. I believe sold over 500,000 copies. I think it was like his third album, though, Leo's third album. Anyway, I am rambling now. So a second favorite band, and maybe it varies somewhat, is Squeeze, who are British. I dare call them a new wave band, because they're, kinda. They were, and in their early days, that's what they were known to be, but very singer-songwritery, very Lennon-McCartney kind of vibe going on. Gonna have to put don't want to get stopped by a cop or anything, that would not be a good thing. So anyway, I am rambling. Leo brought me to John Fahey in my early 20s, and to be perfectly honest, upon first listen to John Fahey, I was like, I bought one of his CDs, probably one of his most critically acclaimed albums, The Transfiguration of Blind Joe Death, and I liked it, but I was like, wow, this isn't complex in the same vibe. I'm using that word a lot today, this morning, and vibe. It's just not as fast and furious as Leo, right? But boy, John Fahey just laid the groundwork for fingerstyle guitarists out there, and I love a lot of those. Certainly, I do spend a lot of time listening to, and I love a lot of artists from like the 20s, 30s, 40s. Well, more 20s and 30s really, but I'll kind of touch on that a little bit, but not a whole lot. I shouldn't go. Anyway, I'm rambling. Where did I want to go with this? So, growing up, Pink Floyd was my second favorite band, and if I had a list, kind of in my early to mid-teen years, I would have said like Cheap Trick was maybe my third favorite band, even though I couldn't list more than 2 or 3 albums of theirs, to be perfectly honest. I did love their music, and it was just, they were definitely influenced by the Beatles. I would have placed them third. They have a lot of great albums, to be perfectly honest. I did see them when I was like 13 on their the name of the album slipped my mind. It's their popular one from that era. But anyway, I remembered it earlier when I was trying to think about it. So whatever. So anyway, I kind of grew up, yada yada yada, and I still listen to the Beatles, but they were like the only thing, and they're still not the only thing that I listen to. I try to listen to other things, but I would say almost daily I listen to the Beatles. So Squeeze, yeah. Cheap Trick, I'm not going to really harp upon. So also in my 20s, I became a huge Nick Drake fan. Huge. I'm a big fan still, okay, but I just don't listen to him. Because I listen to him so much, I don't listen to him like I used to. And honestly, he was influenced by a lot of great people like Bob Dylan. Certainly he liked Astral Weeks by Van Morrison, was one of his favorite albums. And, it's a fine album. So, where am I going? So Nick Drake. I heard a song of his on NPR one day. I also heard, I'm not sure the time sequence, the time sequence on all of this, but I also heard a song of his on the Royal Tenenbaum soundtrack by, Wes Anderson movie that it's one of my favorite movies. So I